Welcome to the Third Due First In podcast. We got our new audio equipment here, so hopefully everybody is well tonight.
Hello.
Welcome, Gino. How are you?
Good, you, sir?
I'm doing well. We got our guest, Fire Chief James Rush from Brooklyn Volunteer Fire Department. Jim, how are you? Good. All right. Well, we're going to get right to our first guest here. We got Sean Sokolowski, and he's going to be discussing the Jimmy Ellis Training Weekend. Well, 1 second, get Sean on the stage here. Hey, welcome, Sean.
No, brother.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on. So tell us about this training weekend coming up.
So we got the 3rd annual Jimmy Ellis Training Weekend. It's hosted in Butler County, just north of where you guys are at. 3-day weekend, 3.5 technically. Hot classes, group speakers, lecture speakers, social events, raffles, the whole 9 yards. The intent was to try to bring a realistic training event to the area, something you might see out towards like FDIC or whatnot, but try to cut back on the price a little bit, make it more attainable for people in the area to get out to trainings like this.
So, Sean, can I ask you how did you come up with the idea, or how did your organization, or how did you guys come up with the idea?
So this event's actually hosted by 2 parent organizations, the Butler County Fire Chiefs Association and the Jimmy Ellis Firefighter Foundation. So Captain Jimmy Ellis, he's a career captain, City of Pittsburgh, life member of the Adams Area Fire District. He passed away in it's a long week. The year's slipping me. A few years ago, 3-4 years ago. Jimmy was huge in training, FDIC instructor, traveled all over the country, recruit academies in Pittsburgh. So after he had passed away, one of the things that came out was everybody wanted to do some type of training event to kind of commemorate his legacy and honor him. Yeah. Now, that same year, the Butler County Fire Chiefs Association had already been planning to do the Butler County Fire School Weekend, which back in the day, the Butler County Weekend was one of the largest at the time, and it had slowly tapered off and gone downhill just due to, obviously, we know there's a decline in volunteers, which Butler County is predominantly volunteer, and just some logistical things.
Aging instructors.
Yeah, so that year we had planned kind of a revamp of it. Some younger guys got involved with the training, and we kind of planned to lose money that year, and we did. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to hold a limit that we were going to lose money on, but also be able to kind of put the name back on the map. In the same time frame, the Ellis Foundation wanted to do the first Jimmy Ellis Training Weekend in the same year. Unfortunately, they were a month apart, so we kind of saturated the area with some training. But the point of it was they wanted to get that event in within the year of his passing. Mm-hmm. So after that event, we sat down and talked together and had the idea, instead of doing 2 weekends, do one bigger weekend. And last year would have been that first year, and we had some major success with it. Now, a lot of people ask, questions about how we do it or how it got so successful. Our success is only the outcome of an unfortunate situation. With Jimmy's background and history in the fire service, he's got a lot of friends and close network partners that if it wasn't for his connections, we wouldn't have the event that we have.
Right.
So that really helped out a lot. Last year, we did pretty good. There was probably about 200 students overall in the event. This year, it's the 3rd year. Same format as we did last year. We just expanded a little bit more. There's 9 different training locations, 20 different hot classes you could take. There's
Wow.
4 lectures over the weekend at the hotel, and then Friday is large group speakers in the hotel ballroom. We're expecting about 300 people Friday at the ballroom. So that kind of breaks down into there's about 300 firefighters training on Saturday and about 270 on Sunday. And then Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, there's social events at local bars. We have a ton of sponsors for the event that have been absolutely awesome to work with, donated a lot of equipment or items for prize raffles, as well as just the financial support they provided to the event.
Sean, I know you brought in you've have and you are now bringing in some pretty big name instructors. Could you throw some of those names out to us? Let us know what they're, these are instructors from all over the country, right?
Yeah, so we got, forgive me if I miss any, because I'm sure I'll hear about it this weekend when they see this, but the Veteran Search Group from Florida, Capital Fire Training, they're from the Maryland area, Rust Belt Jakes.
Richmond guys, right?
They're a new group for us. I don't know exactly where they're all from. Bobby Eckert, Steve Robertson. There's a group from Canada that's coming down. Mark Gregory and those guys from PL Vulcan will be out here. Grit Fire Training, they're local guys here in Pittsburgh. There's another company that's doing a rope class working the rescue, Jason Butterfield. So
okay. And Kurt, you said Isaacson's coming up?
Yeah, so Kurt Isaacson's coming up. He just got into town, actually. Well, he's landing about now. They're taking him to dinner tonight.
Oh, good.
But County Fire Tactics sponsored the social event tomorrow night, so Kurt will be here. He's speaking a little bit tomorrow night. But like those are one of the connections. Like Jim always went down to Pensacola and taught at the conferences that Kurt had.
You're right.
So it's nice that he's able to kind of give back and add to what we're doing.
So these social events you have on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, are they open to anybody? You have to register to go to those?
No, so we open ours up to anybody. We actually would love it if more people came to them, just because it's a fun atmosphere. So you don't got to sign up for the training to come to social events. Bring your family, your friends. It's a fun atmosphere for. I mean, if anyone's a fireman, they know what these can be. But it's a nice mix of that fun atmosphere where you can still bring family, friends, have a good time. There's raffles throughout the night. And then each one's kind of like themed for something. So Thursday night's sponsored by somebody always. And then Friday night, the Ellis Foundation sponsors it. And we do it at Jimmy's old firehouse down in Mars, which actually they bought and turned into a brewery.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
And then Saturday is the Pittsburgh Fools Bash. Last year, we tried to help those guys. Some of the people at the Fools Board are involved with this event. So that was kind of like a gateway to try to stimulate the Fools coming back, and they had a really good event last year.
Who's in charge of that? Dan Barr still there?
Yeah. Yep.
I assume it's probably too late to register for the training weekend?
Yeah, so registration closed August 1st. Just obviously we have logistical nightmares if we leave it open too long of trying to set forth lunches and hotel rooms and payment and all that. The one thing I'll say in doing this is I was always the type of person who's like, I can't believe it costs this much money to go to certain training classes. It costs a lot of money to put these events on, and
you told me some of the numbers.
It's a logistical nightmare in some aspects, but we got a pretty good group that's done pretty well as far as streamlining the process. So
that's great. I mean, I think you guys, what, second year doing this? You said third year?
So it's the third year. It's the second year of it being kind of like the merged big event.
All right, great. I'm sure it's just going to continue to grow and get better and better. I wish we would have thought about it earlier. We could have advertised and maybe got more people to register. But those social events are still open. If you were interested in those, go to the Facebook page.
Yeah, he's a friend of the podcast now. So, I mean, we could have him on 6 months from now to talk about next year's event or, 2 months, whatever.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Keith, if you be my DD, you could take me to one of those events. Friday road trip.
You got to get yourself a hotel room.
Yeah,
I like my bed.
We're kind of lucky with the area doing it in Cranberry just because of how populated and grown it has been. The Marriott where we do it's a huge event hotel. So they have all the ballroom spaces and things that really work out well for this event. We got a lot of compliments on the location of it last year, which was nice.
It's not Pensacola, but it's as good as yeah.
You know, it's definitely not Pensacola, but it's also not January here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, I appreciate Sean. Thanks a lot for coming on. Good luck this weekend. And
anything else you got, Sean, before we kick you?
Yeah, so we already have next year's dates already planned.
The
hotels booked for 2026. It's it'll always be the weekend it is now. It just falls back a day, so it's August 14th through the 16th, I do believe. Whatever weekend's right in there. And I mean, we're already in talks of getting started for things for next year.
Good, man.
Great. As I was saying, so if everybody, if you're interested in the social events or just the cost in general, they have a Facebook page. They also have a web page. We'll get the web page linked in the episode description later. But I really appreciate coming on. Good luck this weekend, and I'm sure it's going to get bigger and better. And I think it's a great legacy to Captain Ellis.
All right, brother.
All right, thank you.
Hi behind Smelter.
All right. Well, appreciate them coming on. Some inside jokes going on there, I'm sure. So we're going to bring on the next guest that we have on, Chief Dan Heck, our executive producer. Yeah. Welcome, Dan. Hold on one second. Let me get the stream up there. Oh, welcome, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, I just wanted to take a few minutes to recognize a true hero, Joey Jones, who you might have seen on Fox Nation talking about his book, Behind the Badge. You can see it there on the bay table. Joey knows all too well what the price is for fighting for our freedom. And Joey lays out the difficult truth that PTSD, PTSI, depression, suicide have been recognized and discussed for over 25 years in the military warfighter setting. But our nation's first responders are affected by these same invisible wounds in staggering numbers, and too often their struggles remain in the shadows. So Joey wrote a book called Behind the Badge, and it is a great read. I actually just read the whole book today. It's a great read for all responders looking for stories from others in the same shoes to relate to. In my 30 years of active volunteer fire service, I ran over 5,000 calls. 48 of them hurt me, which I didn't realize until after I retired from active service. Without a day off or even a shift off to disconnect from daily routine, the toll builds over time. And there are many that suffer from PTSD, PTSI, depression, and this cycle will continue until today's first responders learn to face this problem with the knowledge that we now have to mitigate it. Joey's book gives you personal accounts of incidents that have affected some of his closest friends and family from the first responder realm. Firefighters, police officers, a SWAT team sniper, a game warden, a diver, a canine handler, border patrol, and more. These men and women share firsthand details of incidents that hurt them and how they're dealing with it as they continue with their service to the public. Joey was kind enough to autograph 25 copies of his book for us at Third Due First In. And we're going to give these books out to law enforcement, fire, EMS, and other first responder departments to circulate among their personnel. If you'd like a copy for your department, just email, message, or call us. And thank you, Joey Jones, for bringing this issue to light for our nation's first responders. Secondly, before I let these guys get on with their podcast, I know you're going to be talking about these county meetings, and I just wanted to give my take on it before I turn this over to you guys. Volunteer fire departments face a barrage of new training requirements, as everybody knows, from government bodies such as county, state, NFPA, OSHA, ISO, and more. These requirements demand hundreds of hours of training just to be prepared for a test that will qualify you as the National Pro Board Firefighter 1. And that's just the beginning. In addition, firefighters are required to continue weekly fire training drills, specialized fire training at outside facilities, and they're urged to continue to acquire additional certifications. There's also more departments and insurance companies urging firefighter fitness, which requires additional time and effort to be physically fit to do this job. While these training requirements continue to increase, the call volume has exploded, with many new threats that are changing the way we need to approach fire suppression and many new requests for service. It's no surprise that volunteer firefighter membership rosters are on a steep decline. They get no pay or compensation. They face increasing physical danger and health concerns such as cancer and mental health concerns such as PTSD and PTSI, depression, and an increased risk for suicide. Junior firefighters are almost non-existent. Recruitment retention efforts are not producing the steady flow of new members that they once did. The future is bleak. Local government seems to be in denial about funding these struggling departments. Some local police departments have as many vehicles as they do police officers. They have new buildings, great pay, great pension plans. The EMS services get funding by billing for their services and insurance reimbursements. The fire service, more often than not, gets very little financial help or attention to the issue of the declining service. I give a lot of credit to Allegheny County and any other governing entity for at least talking about this very apparent issue. Unfortunately, politics, funding, and egos will likely continue a path of self-destruction for a public safety sector that is every bit as important to the community as police and EMS. If the governing bodies want sober, drug-free, physically fit, and well-trained, capable firefighters, and they should, then they must pay for them. In the meantime, they must support local efforts to merge, consolidate, and conversion to combo paid departments. I give credit to local departments in our region for addressing the problems and talking about potential operational merges, consolidations, and other ideas that will improve this service. Baldwin, Whitehall, Brentwood, and others are talking about ways to improve. And I'm really glad to hear that. And to those department heads that shut these talks down before they even start, I say you're just contributing to the path to self-destruction. If a department comes to you for help or offers help in the form of simply talking about it, you should put your ego aside and listen. That's it, guys. Have a good podcast.
Good words, Dan.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. One second. Drop them off here. And next, we're going to get right into a video we have from McKeesport Fire Department. This video is going to be sponsored by our sponsor, FireCam. Go to firecam.com, check out their cameras. They are made to withstand the heat. Don't forget, the first 500 subscribers, one of the first 500 subscribers on YouTube is going to win a FireCam, courtesy of firecam.com. So let's get into this video we have here.
Let me give a little,
Yeah.
or a little
Go ahead.
forward to this. If you want to pull, like put it up and then pause it.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. So just a little bit of background on how we operate. It's the minimum's two, and one. Two on a truck, two on the engine, and the deputy chief. It's becoming more common now because of just manpower shortages. But last night I had 4 on the truck, 3 on the engine, and myself. Sean, if you're on tonight, because I know I told you we were going to feature your video. I'm not sure what the manpower staffing was that day, but anyway, how this works is usually the first arriving unit will take the highest priority of what's going on in an incident. If it's rescue, if it's fire suppression, whatever it may be, that first arriving unit and its members will get off and go to that initial problem, like any other fire department. Second arriving units usually secure the hydrant, and then they'll go and assist. What you're going to watch right now is a seamless, flawless operation that happens 99.999% of the time when we're working. It might be a little confusing at first for you to see it, but you'll see that these guys effected a rescue of 3 people and a pet off a roof, front porch roof, and put 3 levels of fire out with tank water in a matter of, well, the video is what, 11 minutes?
Yeah, we edited it down a little bit, take out some of the blank parts.
Sure.
It's going to be about 6 or 7 minutes.
So that's just a little background of how we operate, and that's what you're going to see right now.
How long ago was this, do you know?
This wasn't that long ago. This was probably a month ago. Sean, if you're on and you could comment, or anybody that's still on can comment on the date of this incident, but it wasn't that long ago.
All right, well, we'll get it going here.
Hey, get this line going. Let's get this line charged. Yeah, you have to knock down the first one first. You're spending on the second. Yeah.
McKeesport. East Fun Operations.
What's up?
You going upstairs?
Yeah, I got that two on the first floor knocked out.
Yeah, we have the people off the roof. Copy.
Where you at, baby? Right here. Okay, so we got a hit on the fire first, hit on the fire over the second. What's good, exterior conditions look like? What's up?
You got a friend in the attic. He's in the attic. What's above you? Behind you.
Hey, it's in this wall right here. Is that wall open? Hey, here's the wall. So we got good
It's kind of buzzy. It's in the attic. I'm hearing smoke killing on that Charlie side. You have a light up in the attic?
Sorry, buddy. You're good. Get that wall open. Yeah.
Front room on the left corner. mark.
Put it up in the ceiling there.
Copy.
There, we're back on. I wanted to get to one part in this video. I think I got skipped over for some reason, but yeah, that right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a view you don't see every day, pulling up the structure fire. A couple of people and a dog up on the porch roof. But any other thoughts on the video we want to share, Gene? Who recorded that?
Sean Fogel. He's a guy who works on Crew 3 primarily. It's funny about Sean. He's just an outstanding fireman. Outstanding. And I don't mean that in a negative way. But when I first met Sean, he had been on the job for like a couple months. I had never met him because he works on an off crew. And unfortunately, we had our city public works building burned to the ground. And I happened to be working that day as the incident commander. And it was a pretty intense fire. And I turned around and I hear, "Hey, Chief, what do you need?" And I turned around and there's this unknown human with McKeesport fire gear on looking at me going, "Hey, Chief, what do you need?" And I'm like, I don't know. You can go help them. I had to go find somebody else who knew him to tell me who he was. Which, and again, he's a good dude, man. These guys I got a great group of guys, man. I am not going to lie. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate.
All right, awesome video. Appreciate that video. Again, that segment was sponsored by our sponsor, FireCam. Their cameras are made to withstand heat. Go check out firecam.com and get yourself a FireCam so you can send us in more videos like that. So we're going to just go transition into our segment with Fire Chief James Rush here.
Jimmy?
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me on, and I'll be the first one to say we'll take one of your books for our fire department library. You guys are.
Yeah, we're going to I see Brian Pierce from Whitehall commented in the comments he would like to get a copy too, so I'm sure we can get that arranged. Before you go into your discussion about the meeting with the county councilman about the fire meetings, we did talk to Patrick Katina. He's the council president. I think that spearheaded this whole meetings. Fortunately, he was unable to be on tonight due to scheduling conflict, but he wants to be on in the future. So we're definitely going to try to get that arranged to have him on in the future. But he did say that I can tell you that along with many members of the VFDs are at a crossroads as to what the future looks like in municipalities and what can be done at a county level with the dwindling number of volunteers. I, of course, realize this is a very complicated and heavy lift, but I believe that we need to start having these open, honest discussions to see where we go next and how we get there. In my opinion, this is big of an issue, too big of an issue to ignore. And this is why I'm trying to help to lead the effort and get these discussions moving. So I couldn't agree more with his comments there, and we appreciate that. We look forward to having him on in the future. But Jim, so you're at I believe it was the first meeting that was scheduled?
Well, I think it was actually the second. The first one, I'm not sure it was very well attended. There were some email issues where they didn't have everybody's email. So the next meeting was at Wilkins Township a lot more people there. We're probably somewhere between 40 to 60 people, each representing one of the fire departments in the county. I think since then they've rectified the email issue and have got most, if not all, of the representatives from the fire departments to get them involved. So went out to Wilkins Township, really didn't know what to expect or what this was about. Just heard rumors. But a lot of what you said there, Keith, from the city council president or county council president, is they're moderating meetings with fire departments to solicit ideas on what they can do to help fire departments. And not to get into the other ideas, but I think the main one we'll talk about tonight is obviously the one consistent idea that kept coming up is for the county to provide fire protection in some way, shape, or form. So currently the county has assigned a council rep to each zone, and the net council rep is reaching out to each zone to have additional meetings. For example, we were scheduled to have a South Zone meeting on Monday, but that was canceled due to the events at Clairton Mill. So I'm sure that'll be rescheduled. I'm not sure when the other zones are happening, but you know, some of the ideas that were thrown around at the initial meetings, and I'll go down some of these. I don't want to say they're all over the map, but there's quite a wide spectrum. So on one side, on one end of the spectrum, you have do you go for a fully run and operated county fire department? Some love this idea, while many question the like county council president said, that's a big lift, and I think I'll at least touch on some of the reasons why I think that's a big lift. On the other end of the spectrum, you have no involvement from the county, and your local municipality bears the responsibility, which is basically the current status of everything. There were a bunch of good discussions about various, we'll say, hybrid models, kind of in between both of those ends of the spectrum. You know, one of them will be like a fully staffed, regionally located county station. I'll touch on that a little bit more and here in a bit. Another one, some other questions that come up are regional mergers within the zone, and how would the county support / help or fund that, if at all? Basically, like having a fire district, you're going to have 3, 4, maybe 5, doesn't really matter how many that are going to go together in this zone. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the same zone, cross zones. And how is the county able to help fund that, assist with that? So no one really came out of this meeting with any answers. It was very much more of a, let's get ideas out on the table. Let's see what one end of the spectrum is. Let's see what the other end of the spectrum is. Let's talk about a lot of the options in between, and then break it up into individual zones to see, basically to get those ideas flowing more and see what actually can get traction, what the county is able to do, what they're not able to do, what can be on the table, what's not on the table, who's interested, who's not interested. And how many volunteer fire departments are in Allegheny County? I don't even know.
Over 100.
Yeah, there's 130 municipalities.
Yeah, something like that.
And this wasn't just volunteers. Like the city of Pittsburgh was there.
Sure.
You know, Mount Lebanon was there. Was a combination department. So you have a lot of basically all representation there, or at least the idea is to get all representation there. Invite them and get them there. Just whether they go in with whatever version, just to have their input.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, except for the first example where you go fully paid, is the role of the volunteer firefighter is still essential. Because one of the things that wasn't decided, not that it was decided, but so is that a 2-man crew? Like you guys run 2, 2, and 1. Do you run a 3-man crew? Do you run a 4-man crew? Like what does that look like, and what is it supplemented by?
Right.
And there's a lot of other good models throughout the country that you can mimic, but it's getting that whole lift off the ground. There's a lot of vocal supporters of this. Each one of these, some more vocal than others. Others, you know, just aren't saying anything. I think a lot of them aren't really saying anything because the county really doesn't have any answers right now.
Yeah.
We have a lot of ideas. Hey, this group of people wants to do this, and this group of people's not so sure about that. And the county is sort of like, well, we don't have an answer for any one of those options. We just don't know. It's sort of like, let's get information gathering and let's take it baby steps.
Yeah.
So So some of the things that I see that are, I'm going to say big ticket items, but the big lifts, like, okay, how's the county going to get over this? How are they going to tackle this situation? And I think one of the first ones is, I'm not sure they have statutory authority to provide fire protection for the fire departments. That
unless the borough gives them a mutual aid agreement.
Unless the borough gives that up, agrees to share in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure there's more than one way to do that, but that's also going to be a lift. The borough might not want to do that, or the township might want to do that. But that's a big lift on how do you do the first one and like
make sure it keeps going the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
I understand.
That's because you're not just going to have county politicians involved. Now you're going to have local politicians involved, and
there might be more of them than volunteer firemen now.
yeah, and I'm not. Well, we won't get into that, but anyway.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I get you. The more politicians you get involved, you're like, okay, so are we here for the politicians? Or are we here for the fire departments?
Right.
Let's make sure we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, because you could easily. If that's a lot of constituents, that's a lot of votes.
Oh, yeah.
It just did what they say within 232. There's a lot of voting age people there, and they have to protect their constituents. I understand it, but they also have to put
absolutely like, okay, so we'll take 232 for example. They're a small town,
right?
Like, so let's say we push all our chips and go in. How much say does the fire department have going? Well, we would really like to keep some stuff in house.
Yeah.
Or does the county going to say, oh no, we're going to have a main station over here, and you're going to be on the outreaches? Or I don't know.
They provide 3 people from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Well, yeah. So I'm going to talk about that. So some other, I think, big lifts is if and these are the questions. If the county doesn't have the statutory authority to do that, how's the whole funding thing come? That is a huge issue. Like, so I'm not sure you can raise a fire tax, and let's say we'll just say for numbers wise, only half of the departments do this in Allegheny County. How do you get a tax on them all and just use it for the departments that want the county help? Like, I don't know how that would work. Or is there some kind of agreement where the municipality does the fire tax and then transfers that money over if they're going to have county help? Like, these are I don't know.
Keith, would it be kind of like the 911 model? Remember when we switched to 911, and then like there were a lot of places, and still there's some places that haven't joined the 911 center. They're still ring down locations. That's kind of, you know what I mean? Some didn't want to play in the sandbox, but now some are now joining, and some have just.
Good point.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Because there was a tax. Remember the cell phone tax?
Yeah, and there still is.
Yeah.
So that basically, when that act got initiated, 911 legislation in Pennsylvania, that money was funneled to the counties, and the counties divvied it up. So when there's like regional 911 centers, they got some funding and stuff like that through that tax. But I think eventually the county just said, yeah, what, we're keeping this money, and if you want dispatch, we'll dispatch for free, but you have to come down to us. And I think that's hard for a municipality to say, hey, we'd rather pay $500,000 a year to keep our own dispatch, or go down the county and have it done for free. So I imagine the same. I mean, obviously it can be done. Counties do it. In Maryland, they do it. PG County does it. So, I mean, it can be done. And I'm sure there's some hurdles to get over to figure it out.
It does sound like a huge lift, but if you break it down in fireman terms, it doesn't seem like a big deal. It doesn't seem like it would be a big lift, but we also aren't pulling money out of our pockets, other than if they raise the taxes in the county. But I just think that I was thinking about you with the east and the west and the north and the south zones, the 4 zones that make up the county. This is basically how the county dispatches. Each zone should look different. I don't think so. I think it should be. I mean, I understand the zones should be represented, but if you're going to try to go at this as a blanket model for an entire county, you can't. You have to look at it neutrally across the Upper St. Clair and the McKeesport.
Well, I think you're going to have some areas or districts, will say, that are going to want to do their own thing. Maybe they have a higher expectation of what they want to provide
Yeah.
their residents.
Maybe they have more members. Maybe they're maybe they're
say,
turning
hey,
out.
We're gonna start this fire district over here and just work with these 4 communities and basically do the same thing, but within these 4 communities and kind of keep it in house, if you will.
How do you feel about the new county procedure with the retoning and then filling? Because here's why I'm going with this before you answer your question. My question is, I think it's a good thing, but that's not me. I'm not a politician, but I like the fact that they could use those stats now. The county council could use the stats and say, okay, well, we obviously know we have a problem here. The response times in X zone are this. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that would be a good base to where you could look at maybe where the problems are, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense to me.
I think there's a whole nother part of that is I can call in service. I can call in service with 1. I mean, is that really?
Oh,
true?
absolutely. I understand.
They're in service. Are they really? What are you going to have them do?
We're filling for companies now that aren't answering because they just don't have the people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wish the county president could kind of have 2. I'm going to say 2. Let's just say 2 suggestions, and kind of maybe real preliminarily 2 ways to handle this. First, to define a group of 2, 3, 4 X amount of municipalities, and start the program there. And you basically do it here. You get it started. You figure out the staffing, the hours that need covered. Is that 6 to 4? Is that whatever? Mm-hmm. You figure out the hours. You figure out the staffing. You're doing 2-man, 3-man, 4-man. Obviously, the areas will say you have 4 municipalities, the procedures, the policies, and you run it there for X amount of time. We'll say 3 years. You get it to work there, and you work it out on a small scale.
I see what you mean.
And then you say you're going to take that model and you're going to go, okay, now we're going to move that. We're going to enlarge that area or move it over to whoever else will start. Then they'll take that template and start it over here. Now, obviously, there's going to be things
I like
that change
idea,
with demographics,
actually, yeah.
But I think doing it all at once.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, in my real job, when I do research, you start out with a small area that you have good control over, and you can easily change things, fix things, and address issues that you never thought would come up. So do it in small scale and then grow it bigger.
Be expanded.
Yeah, and the second idea, and this might be easier to start actually, is you staff like a 4-man engine. You staff a full-blown 4-man engine crew in a central location that's available to 10 to 15 communities. This will cover, like, I'll give you an example. I don't know the other zones that well and the demographics, so we'll use the South Zone. Like, what would be the most centrally located place where a 4-man engine crew can help most municipalities? And I don't mean they're first in. I mean, they'd say they'll roll on structure fires. They might be first in. They might be second. They might be third. They might be coming in as an auxiliary unit. But if probably
assigned RIT.
Yeah. Something you can always turn around type thing. So, like, just off the top of my head, anywhere between the county airport and like the Cloverleaf is probably a real good place to put them, because you can run a highway in basically any direction and go from the city line all the way down to Elizabeth and just further down to the Mon River, and then you could cover everywhere from West Homestead all the way to Elizabeth. Also, a big, huge chunk of municipalities just by a single regionally located, well-staffed engine company. That might be something that works, and you again run that for a year or 2, 3 years ago. Hey, we like this idea. Let's do some other regionally staffed county houses, if you will. And then I'm sure from there, you'll have some mergers of departments going, hey, I like this idea. We can use them for, hey, they're right next to us. They're going to be working with us first in, or they're going to be our third in, or they're going to be on the way, or whatever.
We'd 100% call if they were in that location.
Oh my gosh,
we use the airport.
They could drift on it.
Yeah, we use 100%.
Absolutely. So, like, just something up in that area. It'd be great if the county would say, hey, we're going to do this pilot program. We're going to fund this. We're going to do it for 3 years. Let's get the funding for it. Not really have to raise like taxes per se for that, because it's going to be a 3-month pilot program. And if it works, then we kind of take that and move it over here, expand it, You know, because I'm not sure with going to each zone and getting everyone's opinion from each zone.
Right.
You're gonna be like this going, I like what do? You just bite the bullet, you do a pilot program, or you get a few municipalities to go with it, and you start there, and then you just make it bigger. Because I think
that sounds like those are great ideas.
I just think countywide is, because already the first only meeting I was at was like, there's just a huge plethora of ideas,
right?
Here to here to here to here. You're like, and we don't have answers to any of it. Like, where do you start? Like,
and no question at that point, it's a dumb question, really.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Especially in its infancy.
So I mean, those are just two things that I see, not from my bird's eye view, but I mean, that would probably work in some way, shape, or form. What do you guys think?
I love those two ideas. Those are total, at least outside of my box. The idea of the pilot program, and then what was the other idea? Was the
like a region, like a regionally located.
Yeah.
And then the other one's like you have
you
get 2 or 3 or 4 communities that want to do a fire district, and you supplement them, or have a primary county crew supplemented by volunteers.
Yeah, and truly, if you think about it, you know, who's not going to add them on their alarm?
You'd be stupid not to.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely stupid, because
and it's not like they have to be there 24/7.
No, they're going to be trained to a certain
Sundays,
level.
no one's really hurting that much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They're trained to a certain level. They're vetted. You know what I mean? They're an employee of the county, more than likely. Probably end up being an employee of the county. And I think it's a great idea.
You know.
So
how do you get that in motion?
Yeah, right. We don't have the purse strings. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome, and I think it's a key point. But I think it's awesome that at least conversations are being had. I know there's a video circulating on social media too about the Democratic Policy Committee held an emergency services and first responder recruitment meeting, and they had representatives from some fire departments, police departments, talking about the same things. I guess on more of a state level type thing, but. As one of the comments was just highlighted from Ray, he said that he's seen these style meetings years ago. Also, always starts off with a large representation, but drops off. And always seems to come back that funding is always the issue. That it's great to have these ideas, but unless you have the funding in place to actually do something,
I'm sure there's going to be so many other ideas out there. But right now, that really caught my ear. That pilot program with the 4-person engine company that can respond to multiple communities. See how it works. I mean, like you said, 3 months. You know, you probably already have county employees that are already in other positions in the county, dispatchers. You know, they can be lateral transfers.
Run it for a year. Run it for 2 years.
You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
You wouldn't even really have to do a lot of recruitment. You have the entire staff at the Allegheny County Fire Academy. You have the old emergency services people. They're all mostly. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to staff that unit and not put out a ton of money.
Right. So you're talking. You need the equipment, the staffing,
which they have,
but fire truck to use.
They just got a brand new pumper and a ladder truck, I think, out of North Park.
You know, I mean, it's there. Maybe not the south zone. Maybe there's a better zone to demo it or a pilot program.
Yeah,
I don't
know,
but that template, it's probably
that's pretty cool.
You know, one of the easier ones probably to do, and then go, oh wow, okay, we have to address all these problems that came up that we didn't see that were going to come up, because problems are going to come up no matter what.
It wouldn't be really hard to integrate them either at all. It would be a mutual aid agreement. That's all it really would be, because that's what we do with Bettis. We just have a written mutual aid. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that happens at every. I mean, I never was involved in that, but do you have as fire chief, do you have a written agreement with, like, say, Whitehall or Jefferson, or is it just like
it's more of a verbal agreement?
They're probably
hindsight's probably it should be a written agreement. It
was probably written back in the day, I would think.
Yeah, probably no one knows where it is, because you're right, because it's not like I'm developing new mutual aid agreements pretty much,
right?
Except maybe for Bettis, but that's what they do it more, because probably it's a federal facility.
They have to. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure this is going to be an ongoing topic that we'll be talking about in the
for
future,
giving us
because
that
it seems like a lot of our episodes sort of revolve around these type of topics.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to have that county council president hopefully on at some point. So before we go into our news segment, I want to do another shout out to FireCam, our sponsor. And don't forget, if you subscribe on X, you can get a chance to win a flashlight from FireCam. So go to firecam.com, check out their FireCams, their flashlights. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube and win a chance to win the FireCam. And subscribe to our X channel. One of the first 200 subscribers on the X channel is going to win a chance at getting the flashlight. We just had the flashlight. We were just looking at a couple of weeks ago. We gave it to Matt Prentice when he was on. Looks pretty cool. Looks like it works pretty well. Might be looking into get one of those myself. So we're going to get to
see the pump panel.
Yeah, so I can see the pump panel better.
I love
a good flashlight. I love a good flashlight, but I'm not going to put on my helmet because it just sits on the dash. So we're going to get news stories. Obviously, everybody knows about our top news story. We're going to discuss briefly, not a lot we haven't discussed about it, but the U.S. Steel Clairton Works explosion the other day. 2 deceased, 5 in critical but stable condition in the hospitals. 5 additional were released after being seen at the hospital. So obviously our thoughts and prayers are with those affected by this horrible incident. Well, if you guys had anything you want to chime in on that.
No,
obviously there's not much we can talk about until we find out more about exactly what happened and stuff. But
I worked in Clairton for 10 years, not in the mill, obviously, but for the police department there for the city. That's a dangerous job.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy, you worked there.
So I used to work at ET as the plant gas coordinator.
Yeah.
And on outage days, they would pull us sometimes to go down to Clairton to pull tubes and do confined space testing and that sort of thing. Out of all 3 of the plants, I like that one. Dislike that one the most.
It's the oldest, right?
Yeah, it's also the most dangerous. Have the most chemicals. Just a lot of unknowns. You don't see this stuff in suburban, residential, urban firefighting. Like, everything's oversized, whether you have a gas leak or whatever, for example, at ET with a 102-inch pipe, stuff is big. So your hazards are multiplied. You don't see it. It might take X amount of, in a house, how long does it take to turn the gas off? Yeah, you got to turn it off. Right. In a process, in an industrial plant, you might be looking at half an hour if all the right people are in place. I mean, you might have numerous lines to purge, processes that have to shut down. Hey, you can't do this before you do this, and then someone else has to do this process. So it's like an orchestrated, event. So it's very, very different, and things can go sideways very, very quick.
And my heart goes out to the families, everybody affected. We've seen on social media some of the families' names, and we're not going to mention them here tonight, but they got some of them have a long road, and some of them are really grieving right now.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously just from the videos I've seen, looks like the U.S. Steel first responder employees did an amazing job, best they could do, rushing in, trying to get everybody out.
People forget about those first responders, man. We got to give them props because that's like the silent first responders, I call them, because they don't leave the plant. They deal with dangerous things on a daily, hourly basis, and they don't really get a lot of recognition. So anybody out there, I'm tip of the lid to you guys, girls.
Other thing is, it's always good when we have an unfortunate situation like this to see the good in the community. Everybody donating water and the Gatorade and the food, the granola bars. Looks like it was overwhelming response for people just trying to do what they can to help out the first responders there. I know it was a long day for those guys out there, so that was good to see at least the community come together and supporting them.
Yes.
So, Dan, hold on a second.
I just want you to look at this comment from Nick Carter. You guys know anything about that?
I can't see the
the county kind of does the pilot program up north with an engine and a truck 401. So I believe he was talking about is
that's the academy,
fire academy. I think it's only during a day when they have their paid staff there, they can respond on calls. They're on run cards. I don't think it's after hours. I'm not 100% positive about that yet.
I taught out there for a lot of years, and basically they're saying call us and we'll come if we can. But if they're in the middle of teaching classes or their staff's short, they're probably not. And I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's probably somebody on here that works out there, and I apologize if I'm misspeaking, but it's not like they're sitting in the rig waiting for a fire call to come in and McCandless.
They're going about their day, and they might not even be at the training.
It could be a mile away from the rig.
but yeah, they'll respond.
But I mean, anything's better than nothing. Don't get me wrong.
Next, I want to talk about our condolences to Cal Shannon Police Department Officer Justin Majors for his unexpected illness for his canine Dixon, passed away on the 11th a couple days ago. And it's especially rough for a handler and his family to attach a bond to that dog. So our thoughts with them and the Cal Shannon Police Department. And on to our next story is, so I found this sort of interesting, sort of odd. OSHA recently fined the fire department, the Weathersfield Volunteer Fire Department, $640 for serious safety violations. I think it's sort of odd I guess they have to enforce their policy, but they're finding a volunteer fire department. It just seems weird that a volunteer fire department has to pay a fine. But it was the reason was it was linked to a death of a 66-year-old firefighter, Robert Shurkovich Sr., during a brush fire they had. And this was in Connecticut. Apparently, this UTV was on some uneven terrain, and I'm guessing he was a passenger in it, and it rolled over, landed on him, and he suffered grave injuries and ended up passing away. But they cited him because they weren't wearing seatbelts and didn't have the proper helmets on. So the fire department since then has went out and bought the proper helmets. I just thinking, like, is there some better way for OSHA to maybe buy the helmets for the department instead of fining them $640?
Yeah,
or at least say, we're going to fine you $640 unless you take that money and buy helmets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, use that money to go buy the helmets.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to Harley money.
Moving on, the Chicago Firefighters Union has finally reached a contract after 4 years. Pull this up. They got a tentative agreement. So it looks like the raise is going to be about 5% increase over the time. And I just found it.
Is it 5% a year, or is it 5 total?
Reportedly similar to the 5. It just says that the raises are reportedly similar to the 5% increase given to Chicago's police union.
It must be per year then.
The agreement keeps the current fire truck staffing. That was one of the things the city was trying to lower the staffing, but they, I guess, pulled back on that. The union president said that I guess he doesn't really have any comment until his members ratify the contract, but it sounds like that they have a tentative agreement. I just found it interesting. It took 4 years that they were without a contract, but he said that's not unusual for.
No, for larger cities, cities the size of Pittsburgh and bigger. It seems to me when I was union president and I would be out, traveling the area or the state or wherever it may be, it seemed like a lot of those big cities were like in constant either arbitration over a specific item in a contract or negotiations for other part of a contract. There's a lot that goes on. And a lot of people say, well, those union officials in those bigger cities, they're not running fires. And because they can't, they're it's like city of Pittsburgh. I think you represent like 700 people. Well, you can't represent 700 people and still pull 24 on a regular basis. You have to decide that. So, the idea is, that job in negotiating with municipalities is not an easy thing at all.
See, they're local number 2. What's city of Pittsburgh's local number 1, and what's McKeesport?
10.
Oh, I didn't realize. So Chicago was the second.
Yeah, Chicago was a flip of the coin. So a little backstory.
I think you told me.
Yeah. So they supposedly in 1918 they flipped the coin and Pittsburgh won, and to be number one, and Chicago got number 2. And I guess I'm assuming at that time those were like the two bigger departments at the time in 1918. And then I was fortunate enough to be at the 100th year anniversary in 2018 because I was union president of Local 10. We got invited down to DC to recreate the picture from 1918, and they did a reflip of the coin, and Pittsburgh won again. Pittsburgh won again twice actually, because Chicago's local president, he said the coin wasn't flipped right, so they went back and they flipped it again, and Pittsburgh won again. So Pittsburgh will always be local 1.
So McKeesport Fire's been a paid fire department since
1918. Wow. Yeah, it's actually before that, but yeah.
Next story is New Kensington had the Western Pennsylvania hosted the Western Pennsylvania Firemen's Convention. During that convention, one of their past members, get his name here again, I apologize, Kerry Managiri,
Mangieri.
I'm sorry. His sister. I'm sorry. That's the sister, Carrie. Trying to get the Mel's first name here. Eric Lee Mangieri was the one that passed away, and this was in 1995. Did you do a little research? And what was the?
Yeah, I did a little research, and I don't want to do the New Kensington Fire Department or him wrong, but it sounds like the way I read right before the podcast, because I don't remember that line of duty deaths, unfortunately. It sounds like he went into a house fire and either got lost, disoriented, or trapped, and a flashover occurred while he was in the building. And I guess he suffered injuries to the point where it took his life. So New Kensington Fire Department, Chief Saliba. A lot of people know Chief Saliba. Chief Saliba, if you're listening, I'd love to have you on the podcast. So if you do, reach out to me. I'm hit by text. You have my number.
Yeah, they renamed their fire hall number 4 after him. So it's a nice honor for him to remember him. I'm glad that that was obviously a long time ago. It was nice that they still remember.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's see what else news stories I have here. I think that was our final news story I had. The Kensington number fire hall. Just on a personal note, I just want to give a little shout out to when I used to work at the 911 Center. I used to work with James Neal. He's a lead TCO in the North Zone. Recently, he went into he was on his way to the hospital with chest pains, wanted cardiac arrest. Luckily, they were able to bring him back. He went through a heart catheterization, and I guess he's doing okay. He's on the road to recovery. So just want to give my best thoughts to him, wishing him continued healing and strength. And that's all I had. So,
Hey, Keith.
Yeah, good.
I'm just seeing this now. Looks like El Rima Tavern is selling T-shirts. Proceeds benefit the injured and fallen employees at the Clareton Mill. So I just wanted to mention that.
I'd seen it there before I got here. It's on the ET's Facebook page. They have a link up there on their Facebook page. So if anybody wants to support the tragic incident that happened at the Clareton Mill here the last few days, that if you're looking to buy a T-shirt, donate some money, we can direct you right to the El Rima Tavern's Facebook page, and there's a link there for the T-shirts. And
I assume you can buy them in person too. Yeah.
I don't know that.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I briefly saw that too. I think it's something through the union that they're selling these to raise the money.
Good.
But funny enough, I have my El Rima Tavern T-shirt.
Wow, isn't that right?
Yeah, it's not that
Probably
cheap.
he probably got it for free.
No, I bought it after this. I bought this after their devastating fire. Thankfully, we were able to rebuild. They got awesome food down there.
And their food's just as good as ever.
Yeah,
It is good.
very good. Yeah, new facilities, but same old great food.
And people.
Yep. So yeah, that's all I had. Jim, do you want to throw anything else in before we wrap up?
I don't. First time on. I like it.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate
coming.
it.
Thanks for the invite.
Deputy Chief Gene, you got any rants this week?
Not necessarily a rant, but as we talked about earlier, I don't really like to talk about it, but I am going to. Today is my birthday. I turned 54 today. And more importantly on that, as some of you may know, I've celebrated my birthday with my 2 older twin brothers for 53 years. Unfortunately, my one twin brother, David, passed away in April of this year, and it's tough. So what I'm doing right now is trying not to suck. So.
All right. Well, happy birthday, Gino.
Happy birthday, Gene.
And that's it for us. We'll all see you next week, 7 p.m. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like our YouTube channel. I hope everybody likes the new audio. I hope it sounds good. And leave some comments. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you next week.
Happy birthday, Donald.